Hello, Renee Flamont here. One of the most baffling things to me about this entire process is how, when we're in it, we think, ooh, but not with me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what exactly makes us give so many chances? And what makes us think it's going to be different with us? I'm fascinated by that. Think it through. They've done this to every other person in their path. But we convince ourselves that with us, it's not the same. Their truth may be their truth, just not with us. I'm fascinated by that. I did it too. I knew horrific stories about what mine had done to previous people, but not with me. We do that, don't we? I mean, he's different with me. I'm for whom he's been searching. Oh, yeah. And I think it's about self-preservation. I think that's what kicks in. I think, it helps kidnap victims deal, right? Granted, they develop Stockholm Syndrome, but, in the process of but it helps them deal. Self-preservation breaks off into different ways. Stockholm Syndrome when you're kidnapped, but they have to deal with the travesty of what's happening somehow. So sometimes even abuse victims, their personality splits, famously they say, so that they can learn to deal with what's happening to them. This is no different. It's about self-preservation, I think. It's our instinct to protect ourselves from the unthinkable. And the human mind can do flip-flops in order to do just that. And I think that's what's happening here. There's always something hidden, a secret, with everyone they know they're hiding. No one ever knows the whole truth about a narcissist, ever. I don't think there's even one person in the world who ever knows them completely. But we convince ourselves, for some reason, that he's really into us. That we're his truth now. I marvel at that. I mean, when I'm outside looking in, it's remarkable how unbelievable it is that we can put ourselves in that spot. I'm very careful. I didn't want to say any of the words that we don't like to call ourselves anymore. No negative words. But it's unreal. We end up in a spot. We learn all of this truth about his past or what he's maybe even been doing to you. They tell you, oh, but not you, honey. Even if they get caught with something with you, they might excuse that and say, oh, I didn't know we were in such a good place, and then convince you to go forward. From this point on, though, now I understand. We're on the same page. And you believe them, and you take their word, rather than just looking at what is in front of us, which is that the horrible things that they do, and as insidious as they are, it would be impossible for a person of that caliber, I think, even forget the narcissist, of that caliber, who could have the pattern that he's already told you, even if what you just go by just what he's told you. That caliber of a person, I mean, I'm thinking about mine. He told me he cheated on everybody in his life. I don't know, maybe yours tried to act like goody two-shoes, but mine told me right out he was a cad. Because it was part of his love bombing. He disguised it as, I've never been in love before. I've cheated on everybody. You are my world. I've never... Do you know what I mean? So it was like an angle he used. So that's what I'm talking about when I say You know, but even if it's something you found out, you know their truth is this ugliness. That person cannot possibly, I don't think, then truly be invested in any kind of monogamy. Let's just call it what it is. They always need new. And no, it's not about sex. It's about control and the cycle and devaluing and their ego trip. A lot of it's heady for them. But sex is eventually involved. But they're not just out for sex. They like the entire process of it. I got off on a kind of, I digressed a little bit. But we convince ourselves that for some reason he's really into us. He won't do this to me, what he did to them. You don't hear what he says to me. What horrible things he has said about her and her and her. He was miserable. That's why he did that to her. He was miserable with her. His behavior's adjusted now because of me. I taught him to see the light. He's enlightened now, we convince ourselves. I think it's easy to think of all of these things rather than actually grasp the truth that he is built this way. And that you too will become just another one of the trail he's left in the dust. I'm looking at my outline a lot for this one because I don't want to forget anything. Do you follow what I'm saying? This is a pattern that they have. He gives you a couple of examples of bad relationships, and that's to sell you on the fact that there were reasons for his awfulness towards them. He sells you on the fact that he just hadn't felt this way before, but with you, now it's all different. For him, he will now cherish you. He will say he loves you. He'll value you. I've never done it before. He won't do any of the aforementioned. Then, your disbelief that he could do that to you sets in when he explained his behavior most likely in some way right out loud. Whether you found something out, whether he told you he was bad in relationships before, at this point, if you're on this channel, you found out a truth. Yet our disbelief kicks in that they could do this to us. But it's in front of us. And then we convince ourselves I really did too. Pardon me. I really did too. I really did. And I look in it now, and I look at the person I know going through it, and she really is convincing herself, I'm sure of it. I'm staying away, but I'm sure of it. But with me it's different. But with me it's different. But with me it's different. He loves me. He really does. No, this is it for him. Yet we know the truth about their behavior everywhere else in life. And again, if you're on this channel, you've discovered things about them, so it's starting to unfold. And the thing is, okay, because I don't want to forget my place, he disguised it. But he wasn't happy and in love and euphoric and all of the things that you were. And here's the thing, though. None of what he did is warranted. None of the behavior he exhibited is warranted whether or not he was really happy or in love and it was a game. That's the part that kills me, is with all of the bad behavior, we keep thinking, oh, but we're special. But he's already exhibited said bad behavior onto, around you. And we still convince ourselves, ooh, but with me it's going to be different. Even after they've exhibited bad behavior, we give them that. This is a glaring truth about themselves that they are sharing with you when they start to tell you bad things that they've done in their past as a weapon to tell you that they're trying to be honest with you. They'll share things that look like flaws. So you may decide you're not looking at him in a narcissistic way. This is just a man who's flawed and I'm his end-all. If you're at the point where you're trying to view him as a non-disordered person and they have no narcissistic ways, he still should have just left you. People leave or they cheat. That's what it comes down to. He chose the latter. Or she. There's no integrity inherent in their story when they tell you about their past and how they were flawed and, oh, but it's you now. They have no integrity as a person, a human who can behave this way. It has nothing to do with the girl or if he was really happy or if he was... You don't do that to people. You leave. Unless there's something else in it, i.e. the narcissist cycle, from which they will gain ego tripping throughout the entire devalue process. But unless they're not going to hang around if they are just a player who bounces from person to person. The narcissist gets quite a rise out of knowing that even though you know these things and you found out this truth, they're going to get you to stay with them anyway. And we continue to think, which is alarming to me, but not with me. He really is. I'm going to end up with him. I'm his end all. And you know, they tell you right out loud these ugly truths about themselves at some point. It's right out there in the open. So multiply whatever you found out or whatever he told you by 1,000, because they never tell you the whole truth. And take away the horrible things he tried to tell you about the other person and previous partners, which he only told you to help you understand why he behaved that way to them. He'll use that as an excuse. So he gets you convinced that it was all them, not him, and gets you thinking that with you, things are going to be different. So it's all the other things and people in his life that have caused him strife. None of it's him, and with you, it's going to be different. I just want to say that out loud so you can understand, because I really thought that. And now that I say it out loud, man, it sounds ridiculous. To even say that sounds ridiculous. But with me, it's going to be different. What we don't realize is he said all of every word of that to all of these very people he's bad talking. Everyone, every single one has heard exactly what they're telling us. You're the end all. I'm going to be with you. I've never been, none of these other people mean anything. Then they get caught. I've cheated on everybody in my life. I've cheated on everybody in my life. It's a habit. I've been living this way 40 years. I wasn't supposed to fall in love right now. I was going to just play around and you came upon me suddenly. I'll adjust my behavior. I've never lived like this before. I've never felt this way before. I'll do it for you, though. And we believe them. Yet their behavior was already exhibited. They showed us who they are. And I don't know why that is. I marvel at the thought that we all do it. We sit in the middle of knowing everything and saying, but not with me. It's going to be me. I'm it. I'm it. It breaks my heart for myself that I thought that way. You know what I mean? For however limited it was. Some of you have been in this for years. And we hang on to it. It's self-preservation. We'd rather think there's something broken with them or whatever, rather than think, but it won't be me. It wasn't ever me. We want to think it's going to be me. And I think that's what keeps us hanging on. It's easier to survive it, to keep the hope alive and think, but with me, it's going to be different. Just watch and see, watch and see, watch and see. I think if we look at what's in front of us and listen to them and watch their behavior, we have our answers right there. And it doesn't have anything to do with any of the words that they tell us that it's going to be different with us. Is it different with you? The girl I know going through it, it's already the same with her as it's been with every other person he's been with. It's already the same. Yet she's thinking going forward it's going to be different. Going forward. You found out all this. Do you know what I'm saying? It's something to think about. And I'm sorry if I'm breaking the hearts of some people that are just coming upon information about their partner, but if they're trying to convince you, but not with you, it'll be different with you, I want you to look at the big picture and ask yourself if it's even possible that it could be different with you. Hi, Mommy. Okay? That's all.